Welcome to Global English Mindset, where you don't just learn English, you train your mind to think, speak, and live it. Today, I'm not teaching rules. I'm sharing a transformation. I trained my mind to think in English, and it changed everything. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear might completely change how you learn forever. I used to translate everything in my head. Every word, every sentence, every idea had to pass through my native language first. It was slow, frustrating, and exhausting. I felt stuck, even after years of learning. No matter how much vocabulary I knew, I couldn't speak naturally. That's when I realized the problem wasn't English. The problem was how my mind was trained to process it. One day I asked myself a simple question. What if I stopped translating? What if I trained my brain to think directly in English? It sounded impossible at first. My mind resisted. It felt uncomfortable, even confusing. But deep inside, I knew this discomfort was a sign of growth. So I made a decision that day. I would no longer depend on translation to understand or express myself. At the beginning, it was messy. My thoughts were broken, incomplete, and sometimes didn't make sense. I struggled to form simple ideas. But instead of going back to my old habits, I stayed in English. Even if my sentences were imperfect, I kept going. I realized fluency is not about perfection. It's about training your brain to stay in the language, no matter how uncomfortable it feels. I started small. Simple thoughts. Simple sentences. I am tired. I need water. This is interesting. I repeated them in my mind throughout the day. Slowly, something started to change. My brain began to respond faster. I didn't have to translate every word anymore. It was like building a new path in my mind, one thought at a time, one moment at a time. Then I pushed myself further. I described everything around me in English. What I saw, what I felt, what I was doing. Even when I was alone, I spoke in English in my head. At first, it felt strange, but over time, it became natural. My mind was adapting. It was learning to live in English instead of visiting it only when necessary. There were moments when I wanted to quit. Moments when my brain felt tired and I wanted to go back to translating because it was easier. But I reminded myself why I started. I didn't want to just understand English, I wanted to think in it. I wanted it to become a part of me. That vision kept me going even on the hardest days. Something powerful started happening. I noticed I was reacting faster in conversations. I didn't need as much time to respond. Words came more naturally. My confidence started to grow. Not because I knew more vocabulary, but because my brain was finally working in English instead of constantly switching between two languages. Also made mistakes. A lot of them. But this time, I didn't let them stop me. I understood that mistakes are part of the process. Every wrong sentence was still progress. Every imperfect thought was still training my brain. Instead of fearing mistakes, I used them as proof that I was stepping out of my comfort zone. Over time, thinking in English stopped feeling like a task. It became automatic. I could reflect, plan, and even dream in English. That's when I realized something had truly changed. This was no longer just a skill. It was a new way of thinking, a new way of experiencing the world around me. And that's when everything changed. My confidence, my communication, my opportunities. All because I made one decision, to train my mind differently. If you stay with me, I'll show you exactly how you can do the same. Because this transformation is not special, it's trainable. And it starts with one simple shift in how you use your mind. So how did I actually train my mind to think in English? It started with one rule: no translation. I forced myself to stay in English, even when it felt slow. Instead of searching for perfect words, I used simple ones. Instead of stopping, I kept going. This small rule changed everything, because it trained my brain to operate directly in English, not depend on another language. I also changed how I learned vocabulary. I stopped memorizing words with translations. Instead, I learned words with meaning, images, and context. When I heard a new word, I connected it to a situation, not my native language. This made the word easier to remember and faster to use. My brain started building direct connections, and that made my thinking much more natural. Another powerful habit was speaking to myself daily, not out loud all the time, but inside my mind. I described my plans, my feelings, and my actions in English. This constant mental practice trained my brain to stay active in the language. It was like going to the gym, but for my mind. The more I did it, the stronger and faster my thinking became. Segment 14. I also used repetition in a smarter way. Instead of repeating random sentences, I repeated useful phrases I could use in real life. Phrases like, "I'm trying to improve," or "let me think about it." These became automatic responses. Over time, I didn't have to think before speaking. My brain recognized the situation and delivered the sentence naturally. Listening played a huge role, too. But I didn't just listen passively. I listened actively, paying attention to how sentences were formed. I imagined myself speaking the same way. Sometimes I paused and repeated what I heard. This helped me match my thinking with real English patterns, making my internal voice sound more natural and confident. At some point, I stopped being afraid of silence. Before, I rushed to translate quickly so I could respond. Now, I allowed my brain a moment to think in English. That small pause was powerful. It gave my mind time to build thoughts directly in English instead of switching languages. That's when my responses started to feel more real and less forced. I also accepted that progress is not always visible. Some days felt slow. Some days I struggled with simple sentences, but I kept going because I understood something important. Your brain is always adapting, even when you don't see results immediately. Every effort was shaping my thinking little by little, building something stronger over. One of the biggest shifts was my mindset. I stopped saying I can't speak English well and started saying I am learning to think in English. That small change gave me confidence. It reminded me that I was in progress, not failure. The way you speak to yourself matters. It can either block your growth or push you forward. Eventually, I noticed I was no longer translating at all. My thoughts came directly in English without effort. Conversations felt smoother. I could focus on ideas instead of words. That's the real goal. Not just speaking English, but thinking freely in it. That's when the language becomes part of you, not something you have to force. If you want to experience this transformation, start today. Think simple. Stay consistent. Don't translate. Train your mind. It won't be perfect at first, but it will be powerful over time. And if this message helped you, subscribe to Global English Mindset for more content that trains your mind, builds your confidence, and helps you live fully in English. Now that you understand the method, it's time to apply it in your daily life. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Start where you are. Right now, think about what you're doing in English. Even a simple thought is enough. This is how transformation begins, not with perfection, but with action. Train your mind daily, and you will slowly build a new way of thinking. Make English part of your routine. When you wake up, think your first thoughts in English. When you walk, describe what you see. When you feel something, express it in English. These small moments create powerful habits. Over time, your brain will stop resisting and start cooperating. That's when thinking in English becomes natural and effortless. Don't be afraid to keep things simple. You don't need complex grammar to think in English. Start with basic sentences and grow from there. Simplicity builds confidence. Confidence builds consistency. And consistency builds fluency. The goal is not to impress others. The goal is to train your mind to stay in English as much as possible. You might feel uncomfortable at first, and that's okay. Growth always feels uncomfortable in the beginning. Your brain is learning something new, and that takes effort. But don't run from that feeling. Embrace it. It's a sign that you are moving forward. Every moment of discomfort is a step closer to thinking freely in English. Be patient with yourself. Real transformation takes time. You are not just learning words. You are changing the way your brain works. That's powerful. Some days will feel easy, others will feel challenging. But every day you practice, you are improving. Stay committed even when progress feels slow, because consistency always wins. Surround yourself with English as much as possible. Listen to content, read simple texts, and expose your mind to the language daily. The more you see and hear English, the more familiar it becomes. Your brain will start recognizing patterns and using them naturally. This constant exposure strengthens your ability to think without translating. Challenge yourself to stay in English longer each day. Maybe start with 5 minutes, then 10, then more. Gradually increase your time. This builds mental endurance. Just like a muscle, your brain gets stronger with practice. The more you push it gently, the more it adapts. Soon, thinking in English will feel normal. Remember, this journey is personal. Don't compare yourself to others. Everyone learns at a different pace. Focus on your own progress. Celebrate small wins, like forming a sentence faster or understanding something without translation. These moments matter. They show that your mind is changing, and that change is leading you forward. You have the ability to transform your thinking. It doesn't depend on talent. It depends on training. Every day you choose to think in English, you are building a new version of yourself, a more confident, more capable version. Keep going, because the results are worth it, and the journey will shape you in powerful ways. You have the ability to transform your thinking. It doesn't depend on talent. It depends on training. Every day you choose to think in English, you are building a new version of yourself, a more confident, more capable version. Keep going, because the results are worth it, and the journey will shape you in powerful ways. If you're ready to take your English to the next level, stay connected. Subscribe to Global English Mindset for more content that helps you think in English, speak with confidence, and transform your life. Your journey starts in your mind, and you have everything you need to succeed. Keep training, keep growing, and never stop believing.